Good morning, it's Barbara. It's a drizzly, rainy day, and that's how it's going to be today, but it's already 45 degrees, and it's not even 10:30 yet, so much warmer than it has been. Good morning, it's Barbara. Thank you for joining me for coffee. Well, so I got up early this morning. I've been up for 2.5 hours, which is unusual. It's 10:30. I got up at 8, which is early for me. I know for some of you, you've been up for hours by then, but it's early for me. I did not have a good night last night. Before I went to sleep, I slept well, but I was not in a particularly good headspace. I couldn't focus very well. I didn't want to read. I started 3 books, one of which I'd already read, so I thought that would be okay. I was just, on my Twitter feed or reading commentary about, the world and the news and everything, and there are so few bright spots. So that's not always great for my mood. So I woke up I went to bed feeling very unhappy with how I was. I don't have any ambition to do anything. I have no interest in anything, that kind of thing. Not good. It's not good. So this morning I woke up and I decided to get up at 8, and while I was laying there, I was kind of thinking about how unhappy I was with sort of how I was feeling and what I was doing. And I decided that I needed to, think about it more, but also do more. And in the past, knitting has, made me feel better. So I thought, I want to make these leg warmers, and so maybe I would knit. And there's a story to how I ended up knitting, but I did end up knitting a little bit this morning. I've been up for 2.5 hours, and I realized as I was knitting and thinking, and I put on some podcasts because I'm way behind. I haven't been watching podcasts. I'm so behind. But I was also thinking, and I realized, well, duh, of course you had a bad night. Of course you couldn't focus on anything because my mother fell last night, and my brother told me, and they took her to the hospital which they shouldn't have done, but they took her to the hospital, and she's fine. She even went home last night. They didn't even keep her overnight, which was a surprise. The Harmony, where she lives, should not have sent her to the hospital. They should have called the hospice nurse. So I don't know why they did that, but by the time my brother got involved, they already called the ambulance. So anyway, so I woke up and she's fine. He said she's fine. He's going to go over and see them today. And but she bumped her head, and anyway. And I woke up this morning and I'm like, of course you had a bad night. I wasn't super worried because my brother was with her, and but I woke up this morning, I'm like, hello, of course you had a bad night last night. Of course you couldn't focus. Of course you couldn't read. Of course the news just didn't help. Hello. And just realizing that this morning helped a lot. But also recognizing that the fact that I am not hardly doing anything. I'm doing stuff around the house. I'm doing a little cooking. I'm, fully participating in taking care of my mother-in-law. I do my share, not share, but, Dennis and I do it together. And that's, not nothing. So I'm not doing anything. I'm just feeling unmotivated, and and this was before my mother fell. So anyway, I woke up this morning and I thought, well, you'll feel better if you do something and give yourself grace. Of course you couldn't do anything last night, and it's okay. I'm going to be 70 years old in less than 2 months. I feel like as a work in progress, I should be further along. Apparently not. Apparently not. I'm one of those, projects that are going to take a really long time. So I'm feeling better today. You may not be able to tell, but I'm feeling better today. So I decided that I needed to knit. Whether I felt like knitting or not was totally, had nothing to do with anything. I was going to knit. So I decided I was going to start these leg warmers. So they're supposed to start on a 1.5 needle. I don't even know if I have a 1.5 needle, but I have quite a few ones. But they're all on projects. I have zeros. I have 2 zeros. I don't even know if I've ever used zeros. I have 2 40-inch zeros to make like socks. So I started digging through I should do a whip parade. I started digging through my project bags looking for sock projects. And I found 2 sock projects. I have 1 sock project that's on the Flexi Flips, which I'm not going to use. And I found 2 sock projects that I thought, I'll just steal the needles off these sock projects. And then I get to the sock projects and they're like practically almost done. And I just stopped them. So one of them are these. And I'm clearly just knitting, I decided that's where I'm going to put the heel. I finally decided that. So these need to get their heel put in. This is an afterthought heel going in here. They need to put their heels in, and then I'll keep going and put the toes. But these socks were on, now I can't think of the name of these stupid needles. These ones. The carbons. These were on the carbons. But I had found this little short, I have projects that are kitted up, that have project bags that have needles in them, getting ready to start, not cast on, that I kitted up 3 years ago. So no wonder I can't find any needles. Anyway, this needle, which is a clover size 1, I found in a bag to start a shawl. So I took these needles because nothing was on them, and I thought, well, let me put these socks on this needle, which is way too short, but it could hold the socks, and I will steal the carbon. I like carbons, except the one that I have. So that's what I did. So I did this, and I stole the carbons, and I cast on my leg warmers. I had found these socks, which is this beautiful yarn that I got as a gift from Valerie. And Benta of Arctic Crafts had dyed the yarn. It was like a Valentine's kit, and it included a really cute bag. So those were the 2 socks that I found. So I cast on the leg warmers on the carbons and started working with them and realized these are the carbons that make me crazy, and I can't use them because one side of this has a very bad join and you can't get your yarn over it. And of course, when you're working in the round, only one side matters, but I of course had it on the wrong side and I just couldn't deal with it. I was so You know, I really wanted to go, and I knew this wasn't going to work. So these socks were on, I'm sure they're Haya sharps, because they are so friggin' sharp. I'm going to need to find my little round band-aids for my fingertips, because they are really sharp. So I put these socks on these carbons, which I won't be knitting. I won't be knitting. Maybe I will. Luckily, I put them on correctly so that that one side won't matter. So I can actually finish, when I finish these, I can finish them on this needle the way I have it set up. So that's good. I didn't want to think about it with my leg warmers. I just didn't want to deal with it. So I stole the Haya sharps out of those socks, and I cast on the leg warmers. Now the pattern for these leg warmers, it's a paid pattern, and I don't know how much you should talk about a paid pattern or not, but anyway, this paid pattern, you can look at it. It's you can see from the picture that it's rings of stockinette and what's anti-stockinette? It's not anti-stockinette. Anyway, pearls and knits. You can see that from the picture, although it's possible it could be garter from the picture. But anyway, so the pattern starts out with a little section of garter and then goes into the pattern. But Carol had said something about rib, and I thought, you know, maybe I want rib, and it starts at the ankle. So I decided to start it with a 2x2 rib. And I'm still a little skeptical about this, and I'm sure Carol will tell me, because she's knit this and she swears it's great. But anyway, this is almost twice as many stitches as I typically put on a sock. Now, they're not, you know, it's possible that this is sized assuming that you're going to be wearing them over leggings or something like that, and I am not. But anyway, this is at the bottom. I didn't think it would matter, so I used their number pretty much, except I made it an even number so that I could have 2x2 ribbing that worked. So I'm going to do a few more rows of 2x2 ribbing, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to knit them 2 at a time. So once I get to a place, and I might be there already because I've finally joined. When I'm knitting in the round, I knit flat for a few rows, and then I knit in the round because I am terrified of twisting and getting my yarn twisted. So if it works for the pattern, for most patterns it does work, some it doesn't. I go back and forth a few rows, and then I connect in the round. So you can see, perhaps you can see that I'm only connected for 2 rounds here, but I've knit 5. So that's one little trick that I do when I'm knitting in the round, is I make sure that I haven't switched. The other little trick I did on this is that I like a long tail cast on, but I am very bad at estimating how long that tail should be. I cannot tell you how many times I've estimated under and I've had to start over because I didn't have enough yarn. So one thing I like to do is I like to use 2 pieces of yarn for my long tail cast on. And, you know, typically you would use 2 balls of the same color, you might, or as I did here, I used 2 different colors. And so I have this little, just a little bit of color. I just did it for the convenience. I didn't worry about what color it was, because this is going to be very multicolored because I am using my Advents. So here's another little tip. See, I'm having a little crafting here. Another little tip. So what I do is I take 2 different yarns These are two little balls in my thing. I give them a, like that. So now I have two different yarns, and I'm doing my long tail cast on. What it does mean is you have an extra 2 ends to weave in. That's true. So if you don't like to weave in ends, you're not going to like this. Maybe you're better at estimating. But anyway, it's easy for me, and it gives a little detail. This is a very nice thing to do when you're casting on for a hat. It just has a little something, something going on. Anyway, so I will soon be moving this off to some double pointed needles to just be held. I will do another one just like this in different colors because these are not going to match in any way. And then I'll slide this one back on the needle and knit them 2 by 2. Pretty sure these are Hiya sharps because they could be Addies. Hiya and Addie, I'm not sure which, have these blue, maybe you know. But they're very, very sharp. I'm going to have a hole in my finger if I don't do something. But these plastic cords make me crazy. I was in the middle of working on this, and they were flopping around. So I put all my stitches on the needle part, and I put this in boiling water, and it's so much better, and stretched it out. So pro tip number 3. These, you can put them, you know, I just put them in a cup and poured boiling water, let them sit there for a minute, and then I took it out and stretched it, and they are so much better. So anyway, I started. I'm watching, I'm never going to catch up, but I am watching some of my friends on TV. I watched Soxy Nana Alice's faves and fails. She, you know, going through what she did in 2023. I watched, I watched Christy. I hadn't seen her latest video. And I watched A Visit with Nana and Papa, the latest video. And I have Swatch This Space with Carol queued up for next. I'm all caught up on Leslie, not quite enough yarn. And after Carol, I'm going to watch Aquila, the Lefty Knitter. And then I'm going to go see who else I haven't watched for quite a while and try to catch up. So I'm trying to put, you know, crafting in my day. And so far, so good. I'm feeling better. I'm actually loving this yarn. This is one of my Polka Dot Creek Advent yarns. Isn't it pretty? The one I did the other part of is, I found this in one of my bags. I'm like, I'm going to put that in. This is so pretty, and I cannot remember what this is. But it's glittery, and, you know, so it's going to be at least one of my stripes on when I get going. Well, it's going to be the first stripe in the second sock, I think. And I'll pick another one to be the odd color for the cast on. But anyway, so I'm knitting. Now, I'm sorry, Patty. Patty really wants me to finish that hat. I just wanted to start this today, and I'm going to just go for it. But the hat is very close to being finished, my Advent hat, and I will be working on it. You know, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make myself, if I have to make myself, and maybe I won't, that would be nice, knit for half an hour a day. Just a half an hour, but every day. And see how it goes, because knitting does really help me, and I just, you know, have to help myself along somehow. And so anyway, I'm feeling better this morning, giving myself a little grace because, you know, I'm not very good at that. And my mother's fine. The only thing going on today is we have a late afternoon appointment, 4:30, late for us, with the vet. The dogs are going to get their shots, and we need to talk to our vet about Pearl's hip. gets very stiff. She's very limpy if she lays for any amount of time. I feel like we have to worry about her overdoing it. And it's possible that there could be a operation in her future. That would suck for her, but maybe if it helps. If operation would help, we want to do it now when she's 7 instead of when she's 12, or, you know, and it's worse. So anyway, we're going to the vet. But that's it. So I'm going to sit and knit. I'm going to watch my shows. I'm going to, you know, work on it. I'm working on it. But I have a little crafting. One of the things that's on my list, I haven't done anything on my list, but I did make a list though. One of the things on my list is to mark up my temperature calendar so that I can start working on my dragon too. I have to work on my temperature dragon. Christy and I did not stitch together on Sunday night, and so I'm getting way behind. So I need to think about that too. But I'm trying not to worry about it too much or be too censorious on myself. Is that the right word? And try to let it flow. That's what I'm going to try. Anyway, so that's where I am today. Sorry. Well, Leslie got a lot of spinning in her for today. That's good. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go. I think I'm about ready. I think I'm just gonna move this off because it's hard to start 2 at a time. So I always start one, then I make the second one and bring it up to the same point, and then put them back on the needles and go from there. That's how I do it, and that's what I'm gonna do. Because 2 at a time, for sure. For sure. Meanwhile, I hope you're doing well. Please take good care of yourselves. Please, please stay safe and stay sane.